Welcome back to a very basic space program. At the end of the last episode, I made a realization, which was, I hadn't taken this contract, Venus Landing, which meant, we're gonna have to do it all again. So, yeah, please join me. Right, so I'm just looking at the missions here, and we've got the Venus Landing. We have to take that. That's going to be a four-year window, so I'm happy with that. We should be able to do it. Venus Orbit gives us a 4 years window as well. We don't need a new craft for that. We do need a maximum periaps of whatever. We should be able to get into that. I'm tempted to take it anyway, just to get the funding up. We've now got 5 million funds. That's a nice chunk of money, isn't it? And I'm wondering, is there anything else I want to look at? We've got a few things here. We've got orbital flight. We're not doing that at the moment. Our crew are basically just sat twiddling their thumbs at the moment. We do have all these flybys. We've got the Venus and it's Venus. We do the Saturn and the Uranus and the Neptune and the Pluto and blah 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 to do. Deimos possibly we could look at. And then we've got Vesta and Ceres, which I think we would like to look at. But equally, I'd like to land on them as well. And I meant to actually check this. So the landing requires a new vessel. Does it require a new vessel for the others? Phobos Deimos does require a new vessel. That's not a big issue. But the others aren't up yet. So we can't do that. I'm guessing the orbit mission doesn't. The orbit mission normally doesn't. So we'll have to think about that. Actually, let's have a check. Does Europa require a new vessel? It does. So it's likely that always the landers are always going to require a new vessel. So you need to do a flyby first at least, and then orbit. So we need to think about that, because I don't really want to send a big craft out there to do all that. Because once you're orbiting Vesta and Ceres, it's pretty much you might as well land. All right, so let's go and see where we are with everything else. Before I go and start looking at everything else, we'll roll out the Venus Pathfinder Venus 2, because we know we're going to have to launch that. We've got a potential window in 36 days. That's going to take 5 days. That's nothing. That's not a problem for us. We have the first Pathfinder for Venus 1 getting there soon. And then we also have these Mars missions being built as well, because we want to get that out of the way. We have a maneuver node for Discovery, what's that, Discovery 12, which I think, yeah, it's in orbit of Jupiter. So this is for us to play around with its orbit a little bit, I think. I need to have a think about what I was doing with that. I can't even remember what that was. Whether we were going to get an interaction with something, or whether I was just going to just play with its orbit a little bit. And then we've got the Neptune window, which, do we have anything for? That's interesting. I don't seem to have. Have we had another Neptune failure? Am I missing something? Oh, there it is. It's in storage. Okay, that's all right. So we'll get the Neptune craft ready. I was sure we'd had a problem with the Neptune one before, and I thought for a second they would lost it. Venus landing. We've got the Uranus flyby. That's going to come in after that. So that's good. So we know that actually we should have the Saturn interface before we get to the Venus landing, which is quite soon, actually. You forget that that's only going to be about 4 days. Anyway, so I think what we need to do is I need to get Pathfinder 2 into orbit. And then we need to think about some other missions, because we're basically looking at Mars missions now. And I think we have to start looking at that moon landing mission again. So we might do that later. But we've also got communications could be doing. And we might throw a communications thing together at some point and look at that. We'll have a look. So let me get this forward. We'll get Venus 2, Pathfinder Venus 2 into orbit, and then we can sort it out. So I will join you probably on our way to orbit, I think. Unless something happens. Right, so we've got about 5 days until launch, or to the latest possible launch of the Venus 2 Pathfinder. I'm going to get that name right at some point. We've actually got a lot of science in, because we've been getting some science from our Jupiter probes coming back finally. So we've got up to 200 science. We've got some upgrade points. I'm going to stick them into the R&D, because I can. We've got quite a few points there. And let's actually look, what do we want to build? What do we want to R&D right now? Communication's always an interesting one. But do we want to go for lunar landing? What does that give me? That gives me more heat shields and... Ooh, now that would open up to a crewed landing, potentially, wouldn't it? Or we go space station. Have I got enough? I've got enough for space station. So we could start... We could get one of the... I've never really put a really nice space station in the British series. We bodged a station together, sort of. And it was a bit glitchy, shall we say. But these things get quite tasty. We could have some nice girders and things. I could build a nice big station. That would be quite nice. Alternatively, we could get some of these other... Ooh, the D2. Never used the D2. That'd be quite nice as well. quite like the idea of doing something with something around that. Alternatively, I could just go Soyuz or Apollo, which I've never actually done an Apollo style mission, I don't think, in RP-1. Or we got upgrades for engines, or we could go for stuff that's not going to help us really. We could go for solar panels, tech level 3. We're getting 2 there. We could get 3 there. That's 130, and then that would leave me enough for one of these, would it? I could get, you know what? Let's push for that. What else do I get on this? Get the LK. Oh, I could do the LK lander. I've never done the LK lander either. I don't know. This used to have mesh problems, but I don't know if it still has it. That's an upgrade for the landing engines. How much is that? I could get that. I could get that. You know what? I should really. You know what? We're gonna go for engines. We're gonna get some engine points in, and I really want nuclear, but we'll leave that. And I really want to upgrade the this stuff. What have we got now? We currently have that. I would really like to get to vacuum scrubbers. I think they're probably the better option, which we could do soon. So I think that's where the next points are going. Right, anyway. Back to this launching. We're going to launch a mission at some point. Right, you join me, and we've just had stage separation of our first stage. There it goes, the noisy first stage. It's a lovely day at the Cape, actually. We've got lovely weather. It's, well, it was a bit cloudy, but, you know, it's always cloudy on the Earth, isn't it? And we have the sun for once. You know, one of these launches, the one where I decided not to show you the start of the launch, of course, was the one that was in the sun, because that's the way it goes. So we're going up into a nice little thing. We're just going to put a little bit of timey-wimey warp on, actually, and I may jump these fairings off a little early. Yeah, let's get rid of those nice and early. So there we go. So we're just going on up now, and you can see the full craft. You've seen this before, and I thought it would take an opportunity, first of all, to get this up into orbit, but also to talk to you about the channel and some future ideas. You know, any ideas you have for videos are always welcome. It's always nice to see your feedback. It'd be lovely to know what you thought of the March to Orbit series. I know that finished, you know, what, 3 weeks ago now. What you're thinking of the Hard and Uncut series, what you think of this series, which bits you like out of all of them. And then also, would you like, and I was thinking about this, would you like some sort of, particularly for RP-1, would you like some sort of specifically single mission sort of things? Well, we won't so much play RP-1, but I would play with a RP universe sort of thing, RO only. And do certain missions, so like, you know, going to Jupiter, landing on a different moon, doing these things. Would you like to see that as like an episode on its own? That would be really interesting for me. Oh, there we go. Get that done. Oh, we have a little bit of interesting avionics there. Ah, did you see that there? We didn't quite have the avionics requirement. Now, have I upped something? That's the concern, isn't it? Yeah, we had a comment in one of the previous episodes about these craft, about the fact that, oh, just check your avionics stuff, and that'll you know, in the build screen. Well, the problem is that the old avionics used to be summative, or it used to be set up summatively. So if I had 10 tons here and 3 tons there, it would be 13 tons. And that's not the case anymore. So it basically will take your heaviest load. So you have to disassemble your craft to basically test the avionics like that. So that's part of the reason. That's the reason I'm giving myself for the failed avionics in a previous episode. I'm going to allow myself on that one. But thank you for the comments. Yeah, it is. I think it's something that I probably needed to have that failing to actually to realize, you know what, this is something you have a problem with, and you need to work on it. We're getting our inclination quite nicely now, so I'm going to just roll us up to there. And then you can see we're sort of hovering on the 0 there, near the 0, which is quite nice actually. If I can hold it like this to orbit, I would be reasonably happy. We're going to pull it down a bit. We've got about a minute to go. We can actually put our nose down just a smidgen there. We're at 190 kilometers, actually a very nice altitude thinking about it. We're going to lose a little bit of our time to apoapsis just by dropping that there, but that's not a big problem. We're at 0.12 degrees, which I'm quite happy with. It's all very nice actually at the moment. This is for a launch, for me, this is a novelty. I'm normally fighting if something's going to go wrong. This engine's going to cut out early, or something will go wrong, I'm sure. And then we just got to plan our departure, which is, you know, same old really, isn't it? We'll just pop that down a bit. In fact, I'm going to put it on 5. So we'll let ourselves go past that point, I think, a little bit. You know, no, I don't really want to. I don't want to. There we go. We'll just hold it. Put it on a 6. So what we're doing now is we're giving up a little bit of our forward velocity just to keep ourselves lifted up here. That's all I'm doing with that little maneuver there. We just got a little bit of height there, and it's just fighting gravity, really, or the pull of gravity, because we're quite high up. We've got the curvature of the Earth. We're going around the Earth. We only need a little tiny little push just to keep us just from falling back too much, and that's what we're doing. We're just giving it a little bit there. And of course, you know, Pythagoras theorem, if you want to work it out, we're actually gaining force because we're only giving a little bit off there. It's not a massive loss for us in reality. What I'm going to do is we're going to wait until I get near to there, then we'll drop it to 0. There we go, because we're pretty much on level with the surface right now. Oh, this has gone off a bit, hasn't it? Need to do that. And there we go, cut that. Right, now that's annoying. I took my eye off the ball and we've lost some of our relative inclination. It was so beautiful before. So, and then because I was trying to fix that, we had this sort of go. So that wasn't a perfect ending for that. That's annoying. Right, I think next we're going to decouple. There we go. Now we should have the avionics of requirement for this. Let's have a look. The avionics is on, 25 tons, wonderful. And what I'm actually going to do is we're going to put a little bit of pushes away from that stage. There we go, just to get us away from that, and then we're going to turn that off. Right, we can get rid of this now, and we can go to maneuver planet, get that down. We're going to do it to another planet. We've got to tell which one it is. Now we're going to Venus, and we should be able to go straight away. In fact, I really want to go straight away to Venus. That's Mars, there's Venus. Why are they similar colors, I wonder? Right, ASAP. Okay, create the node. When's that going to be in? It's going to be in 40 minutes, so this tank is going to lose a little bit of its sort of its timing, shall we say. Right, I could do that, but I don't want to because we're in 43 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to spin this around and wait until we get to about 10 minutes out, then we'll get it to sort itself out. So there we go. You can see the upper stage is falling away. Then, of course, in reality, at this sort of altitude, it would actually fall back to the Earth over time. It doesn't have enough. Well, it doesn't have enough altitude to stay out of the thin sort of wispy air that's around the planet, which will, of course, do all the sort of pulling down. And of course, we model the atmosphere in KSP as to being a single layer, but you know, in reality, there's gas holes all the way. The space station, for example, it gets a lot of interaction with the atmosphere. Well, I say enough interaction with the atmosphere that means that if you don't boost it occasionally, it will fall back down to the Earth, which you know, is potentially a problem. There we go. The probe's now finished. Yeah, goodbye. I don't need the probe anymore. Thank you. We're going to go to 10 minutes. There we go. Start burning 10 minutes. All right. I'm actually going to get this to do it for us. I think we're gonna get this to execute and do that. Right. Is it going to do it? Unlock the avionics controls. Abort that node. Execute. Turn on the RCS. There we go, right. We just need to turn the RCS on. And we can see the craft there nicely arranged. We've got our little lander there, which hopefully should work. Hello. Where is the... Oh, it's upside down, that's why. When I actually put this onto the pad... Oh, lovely. We're doing this in the dark. How perfect. When I put this onto the pad, we actually had a situation where the lander was the core part. So what we actually had was... It was showing me downwards. It was showing me the ground. And luckily, I think we've had that previously. And I saw it and went, yes, we have a problem there. I know I can fix that. So that was one of the things where I had to go in and just fiddle around and look closely. Now, the annoying thing here is that, actually, when's the transit going to be? Let's have a look. So that Pathfinder is 144. This is going to arrive 4 days after it, which isn't bad, actually. That's a surprise. So that's obviously taking the slower route, which means it's probably going to need less delta V to capture because it's taking the slower route. And we're taking the faster route with this one. It's a pity that we can't keep some of this delta V in this because this has got a lot of delta V in excess. We could mess around with the nodes and stuff and get a better transfer, but we're not going to race it. I'm quite happy with that sort of transfer that we've got going there. So we're gonna this is all automated. It's wonderful, isn't it? So it's gonna orientate itself properly, position itself. There we go, and then it's going to speed up. Now it's locked on its target vector. And of course we get some electricity savings there because we're in a thingy. Now we've got about 20 so seconds, and then I need to be ready because it's going to do some RCS burns. Come on, do your RCS burns. There we are. Make sure the tank is settled, and then I can fire that. And there we go. Now hopefully, ooh, I hate it when they get, yeah, okay, they are both on. Sometimes it looks a bit weird. All right, now the good thing is we're not running these to exhaustion, which means we don't have to push them terribly. What we will do is we'll cut them out once they're done. We'll empty the tanks, use the RCS on this for a little bit of control, and then we'll decouple, and hopefully the decoupling won't destroy everything, which sometimes it does. Sometimes it plays silly with us. But we'll do it as much as we can with these tanks because we have a fair bit of RCS stuff in there. We're going to actually speed this up. You don't need to. Look, I'm at the maneuver node. Thank you. Wonderful. We'll just speed this up a bit because it is a long burn. These liquid hydrogen, Hydrolox engines are very long burning, and I think we're getting the sun coming up, are we? Yeah, we are. Look at that. That's beautiful. Look at that. That's superb. I mean, not that anybody will ever see it. There are no cameras on the front of this craft. I mean, you know, if we were doing it nowadays, I'm sure there would be. But, you know, in the 1970s, we are in the 1970s, aren't we? I think we are. They wouldn't have put a camera on the front just to see that image, I don't believe. They might have. I mean, I'm having a think. We got the lander's facing downwards, so it's not going to have a camera facing upwards. This has got no camera or equipment on it, I don't think. Visible image? Oh, it does. So maybe this would have a camera, but it would more likely be facing backwards or something like that. I don't know. That is an horrible design now, isn't it? I don't like that, the way that's recessed now. It was really nice when I put it together, but don't like it now. Right. A little bit more time. That's really cool, actually. That is a shot and a half that you really like. I like that sort of image there. You can see just how fast we're actually going over the surface, and it really just shows up the work that people have done in Eve and all that sort of stuff really well. All right, look at that speed. We're about to hit 10,000 meters per second. That's lovely. Over the top of that, we've got another 1,000 to go, and of course this is now going to speed up a bit. It's good. Well, see, speed up a bit. Our mass has gone down enough now that this is actually we're accelerating more quickly. So we're currently at, you know, over one times Earth's gravity when we're at sea level. We only ever get up to 2 on this stage. It's not the thing with Hydrolox stages. They're never big punchy stages. They are big stages. They're just not punchy. You wouldn't want to use them low down in the atmosphere. Let's just say that. All right. We're going to drop it down shortly into a normal speed. Where we go, and we'll just let it do its thing. We've got over 1,000 meters per second still left. So you know we've got a fair bit of stuff on this craft to play with. If we wanted to relight or anything like that. Which we might do, actually. We might want to do that. I'm actually going to... Are we going to let this do this? I'm going to disable these because they have a habit of firing them. And when you're only doing 0.5 meters per second, these firing up will always give you more of that, particularly at this point where they've got very little going on. Right, so we can actually have a look here. When this is finished, we'll be able to have a good look. There's us leaving, departing. You can see we're actually not online perfectly there. Can you see? We're slightly out of alignment. I'm actually going to kill this. Yeah, we're going to kill it. Right, let's see. Do we actually have an interaction? We do not. Okay. So now we're going to do a little bit of playing around like this. And I'm just basically firing the RCS now. I'm going to turn the RCS on to hold position. And I'm going to fire the RCS, and we're going to see what we can do. We might get an encounter. We might not. Oh, it's trying to sort itself out, isn't it? Let's put us in the prograde position. That's probably the best idea. So we're rolling the craft around to the prograde, and I could put a maneuver node in and do this. But I don't want to. And we might actually end up running out of RCS fuel for this, thinking about it. Let's have a look how much we've got. Oh, we've got a little bit. So what I want to do is we actually want to dump. We want to dump the liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, I think. Yeah, we're going to dump them. Liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, just to lighten this whole craft down. You can see that the actual camera is drifting to the top right now because the mass that was here is no longer here, which will offset this, which makes our RCS now we've got it lined up. It's not so bad. If we were turning this around using the RCS, that would be potentially annoying. We could just detach this and get it to do a lot of maneuvers, but I'm going to see what we can get out of this. You know, we've got a bit of RCS to play with. Right, so let's have a look. What does... we want to go back a bit. So we've actually over-thrusted. We've actually put a bit too much delta V into our approach. And you can see a little tiny bit of RCS is doing quite a lot here. And I think, are we out? Are we out now? That's probably us out of RCS, is it? It is. Right. So then we're going to decouple, like so. There we go. And we need to activate our avionics, which are around here somewhere. In there, are they? Get in here. Get a bit of that. There we are. So there's my avionics. I need to turn that on. Where are we? Activate avionics. We should now have control. There we go. What I'm actually wanting is for this to drift to one side. So we'll do a little bit of getting things going. Right, so I need to activate those. So what I'll do is fire that. There we go. And then what we'll do is we'll let it do a little bit of that just to pull us down, because if we do some thrusting, you know, backwards, we're actually going to hit that tank, and I don't want to have to move it. Right. So then we're going to do. There we go. We do a little bit of movement now. And we're going to pull this down. And we're going to see what we get to. There we go. So we're now in the sphere of influence. We're going to focus the view. Right. Now, how close are we? Let's have a look. So this thing is going to come in, and we can do a little bit. We could put a maneuver node in and do this with the maneuver node, but no real problem with that, is there? Let's speed it up a bit, because you don't want to see this all day. Do a bit there. Right. We get a second closest approach there. That's interesting. So we're coming in now. The interesting bit will be what angle we're going to come in at. This craft, we have to land with it. So where we land is potentially important. I'd really like to have signal when we come in. I'm more happy to sacrifice orbiter on this one. In fact, I'm very happy to sacrifice the orbiter potentially for the good of the lander craft on this one. So we will see. We'll see what's happening. Let's have a look. Does that go? Bit of that there, and a bit of that, like so, and a bit of that one there as well. There we go. We've got 3 directions of thrust going on right now. We've got a bit of reverse. We've got a bit of I think it's port and a bit of starboard. I don't know. We've got yaw roll stuff go crazy. Right. Now I would probably be looking at, now we've wasted a lot of our fuel doing this. Do I actually just put a maneuver node in is what I'm actually thinking. We're going to do this up a bit. Yeah. So this is going to be a polar one as well, isn't it? That's not terrible. That is not a terrible place to be in. Jump back to our craft. Let's have a look. Can I put a node in? Let's say about here. 3 minutes. Add a maneuver. Yeah, let's do that. So let's put a maneuver in. And let's actually have a good look at this. I'm loathed to put another one into that orbit though. That's the only problem. Let's have a look. So we do that. What would you do in this situation? It's a good question, isn't it? What would you do? What would you do in this situation? I think that's getting worse, isn't it? Yeah, so we want to do a bit of that and a bit of that, like so. And that's some big chunks of delta V, actually. What we're doing now is actually walking our way into the planet, aren't we? We're just going around like so. And what I would really like, and I think we're going to be stuck with it, I think we're going to be polar, which isn't terrible. We can capture polar and we can play around with it if we need to. Let's have a look. Oh, this is more interesting actually. So what are we doing? Yeah, that's going to be a polar one. I could change it a bit. That's not bad actually. That's terrible. Could be worse. Okay, that's now in the atmosphere, but it's less polar. So what about a little bit of this? Yeah, that's not bad actually. I quite like that. How close are we? We could get closer. So we'll do a little bit of this. Get it reasonably close. I want to be not in the atmosphere. I want to be reasonably sort of, yeah, that's close enough, I think. Yeah, I think that's going to do us. That's perfect. Right. So we're going to basically warp to here, I think. Oh, we're on it already, aren't we? So we need to go to the maneuver node. And then we'll just, we'll get the engines firing. And I might even get the maneuver planner to do it. Should we get the maneuver planner to do it? That's an option, isn't it? Let's get the maneuver planner to do it, because it's always so good. Yeah, there we go. We'll get that to do it instead of stock things. So that what'll actually happen is we'll then be able to fire these engines very briefly to give us a little bit of a bump. Couple 100 meters per second. 100 meters per second is not much, and it's nice to have these bigger engines here to do this actually. So there we go. We're going to get that. That's going to fire those. Yep. Then I'm going to not do that because I want to stage it. Come on, come back. Thank you. That's the only problem. You cannot stage from there. There we go. Right, now we can jump back here. And now this will take a bit of time, is it? Yeah. This is just using up that extra little bit of fuel, and this stage should have more than enough to pull us into orbit. I'm hoping we've got enough. You know, Venus is a reasonably sized planet, so it should be. It's easier. I think it's less delta V to capture than Mars. Although Mars is less to get to, if I remember rightly. I can't remember which around it is. Because the bigger something is, the easier it is to basically capture around it. It's just harder to get lower down. So us being at this nice altitude here potentially is good for us. And I'm just looking at this and keeping an eye on it. And we're going to see what happens. It's going to be interesting actually, because we're so close to our parent body. It'd be interesting to see just how close we're going to end up to our predicted end point. Oh right, okay. Can we keep going now? Yeah, we can. We're just gonna bring it in like that. We'll bring it in and see how close it gets. See, that's interesting. It cut out, and of course it's got this tolerance of 0.1 meters per second, but it's obviously not as efficient as we think it is. So I'm gonna do that, a bit of that, bit of that, bit in there, and I don't know how close I want to get actually. Like we could go really close, like that's the sort of position I'd like to put it in. So we'll do that. We'll turn off the RCS, and we're pretty much on our way now. This thing is ready to rock and roll. Do we have science on board? We can actually close this down. Let's check what we've got. Let's have a look. If you cannot tell, it's been a while since I played this, because I've been walking Hadrian's Wall, which was, if you're not from the UK or you don't know what Hadrian's Wall is, Google it. It goes straight from one side of the country to the other. I walked it in 6 days. Not the healthiest experience in my life, but it was an experience. Let's look. So we've got all the science from here already, but we do have science equipment that we could put on, and I don't know if we need any of that on at the moment. Interestingly, did I not put? I've obviously not put. I probably didn't have soil sampling and stuff when we actually put this lander together. I do find it funny the lander is backwards. So we've got the little nuclear charge there. It's obviously warming the lander up with its radioactivity, and then we've got these around the outside keeping this warm. And the plan is that this will separate here, leaving this section to basically prepare itself for entry into the atmosphere. Then this will detach, this will go into the atmosphere, this will burn up, we don't really care about that, and then this is left to do its stuff however it wants. We can play around with it. So we'll have to see what goes on. I think what I would like to do is just check what delta V are we going to need to get a capture. That's the important bit. So what's going to give us a capture with this? It's probably going to be a 2000, is it? Oh no, only 1000. Right, so we've got 2600 in this stage. So if we took it down to 2000 or more, actually, how low is that going to take us? Because we can get all this delta V out. So we could take it down to sort of a reasonably low level. That's not bad. And then the decision is, do we try and actually, do we just capture and then try and do change its plane and things like that to make it equatorial? We might do that with the comms system. I don't know. We will see. Now, the only problem we have is the craft that's going to release the probe, it does not have a large range on its antenna, which I actually need to think about here. Now, where are we? We've got this here, isn't it? Get in there and have a look at it. Right, what's our antenna like? So this one does it have an antenna? Did I put an antenna on you? Power, I don't believe you've got an antenna. So that means that this thing must have an antenna then in here. That's not a thing. That's not what I want. Where are you? Where are you? You're in here somewhere. There you are. That's it. There, right. What's your antenna? All right, here we are. So you've got, okay, the equivalent of sort of the sun, the moon sort of range then. So we're looking at, moon transit range. So we could potentially signal to this thing. Oh, please tell me I put a transmitter on this that's a, yeah, I did. Okay, thank goodness for that. UEF. For a minute then, I thought we'd have messed up again and I'd have to launch another one. Let me just check. UHF, yeah. So that we've got the basically identical transmitters on here and on the body of this craft, unidirectional ones, and then we've got this one for getting home basically. So this and its sister craft will act as basically signal system for these. So once we've got two of them around Venus, we actually get a much better coverage, I think. We've got much more redundancy. Right, we're gonna fly this thing out of the Earth sphere of influence. That's going to take us 2 days. We'll do that, and then we can actually set up all of its next maneuvers, and we'll see when it's going to arrive at Jupiter. So join me once we're outside the sphere of influence. Right, we are now outside the sphere of influence, and yeah, we've got an interesting occurrence here. We've lost our closest approach, which is always good, isn't it? It's brilliant. We're out here, we're in space, and we have lost our closest approach, which is a Kerbal thing that has happened to me before many times, but I thought we'd got past that now. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to have to put in a maneuver to fix this, I think. So that's the wrong side. We want to be on this side, don't we? There we go. So we're going to add a maneuver in an hour's time, and we need to basically do everything we did again. So we're gonna have a look at this and see what's going. We're actually overshooting, which is interesting, by quite a bit. So I don't know what's going on here. We didn't have any interaction. We went through the actual interface reasonably easily. Right now we're focused on it. So let's focus view there. So we went through the interface reasonably easily, but these things happen with Kerbal. Sometimes you get things thrown up. We went through the interface in space reasonably easily, and then I looked, as you've just seen, and we are nowhere near what we were originally at, which is a little bit annoying. Actually, it's very annoying, in fact, if I'm honest, because we had a really nice approach, I felt, but we'll play around and we'll see what we can do. We're going to have to burn a bit more fuel, obviously, to get this approach to work, but that's not what I want. I want it to be about there. Right, there we go. That's an approach, isn't it? It's not brilliant. We're all tilted, so that's potentially near equatorial. I don't know what the inclination is going to be, but it's not bad. So we're gonna warp towards that. Then we'll turn the control on. We'll get ourselves situated nicely. So the burn time's a minute. Sure if it is, but we'll have a look. Turn the RSS on, turn this on. Thank you very much. We've got maneuver node. Yeah, thank you for telling me that. Wonderful thing. Wouldn't need to. No, I want maneuver. There we go. The positive I find with RP-1 is that you get all of these controls straight away, which I think is really nice. You either have them all or you don't have them all. In stock, of course, you have to build up to these. You have to get different probe cores, have different things, and I do like aspects of that, but having them all, just that if you've got control of a craft, you have this option. I think it's pretty accurate for what you would have. So there we go. So that's what we're going to aim for. I'd like to go a bit closer, but we'll refine it when we get better. I'm actually just going to fire this now, and I'm actually annoyed about this. We if we'd have not spent that 100 or before departure, we probably would have had to spend less. It's potentially a little calculation glitch, and you do get this. You get floating point errors and things. I thought we'd got rid of them a little bit, but they do creep in, and that there was a big jump there that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting to come back and we're going to be in a perfect position, but sometimes you don't get these things happening for you. So we're going to do this burn, and then we'll kill it, and then refine it. So are we actually in the sphere of influence at all yet? No. So it's going to be like 100 just to get into the sphere of influence, which is excessive, isn't it? Considering we'd actually refined it before departure. And again, it's lucky that we've got these relightable engines. We're using a Delta V here, which, okay, we don't need it for capture because we know we've got more than enough. But if we hadn't allocated, 100 that's 250 basically meters per second that we've now had to use, which we shouldn't really have had to use. So yeah, it's not pretty. So we're gonna kill this in a minute. We're gonna get in there to about there, right? And then we'll just sit on this node now. And what I would be tempted to do is, yeah, we're just holding it now. It's because we're under 1 meter per second. Just going to hold it in that relative position. It's not going to actually move with the node, which I quite like. I like that fact that we're not chasing nodes too much. There we go. We're going to bring it in, and we'll pop that on there, actually. We could get rid of that node if I really wanted to. We don't need it at the moment. Luckily, we have signal because of the way the craft's designed. We've had basically signal all the way along, whereas some of these similar craft, we lose signal at certain points just because of changing in antenna and things like that. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of that. And we're going to bring this in, and I'm going to pop it in at about, ooh, I don't know, there. A bit more. Bit higher, please. Go higher. There we go. Not as nice as it was, but it will do. It will do the job for us. So there we go. We're sorted. I think that is good. We can pull it down there. We've got the delta V just there. Right. So the craft is now in interplanetary space. And I think we're ready to go. I think we've got the mission selected. I think next episode, because I think this one is that's what we're going to get for this one. I was hoping to get some landings and things like that. I think next episode is going to be the big one. It's going to be it's going to be both of these coming in within 4 days of each other, preparing them, lining them up, and that. And then we've got the Jupiter mission after that. And I don't think we have. What have we got? We've got anything else building up? I think Neptune's in 260 days. These ones are, Pathfinders are going to be ready as well just after that. I don't know if we'll use the Pathfinder Venus 3. We might. But I do think we need to start after that. After the 2 Mars ones, I'm probably going to be looking at moon missions and sliding them in because we're going to have build time. And we're also going to do some satellite stuff as well, I think. So we'll be back away from the interplanetary stuff. If you don't like the interplanetary stuff, comment down below about that. And also give me some feedback on what you'd like in the series, what you'd like to see in different series, and what you like about the different ones. Do you like the building? Do you like the pace of it? Would you like it to be faster? Would you like it to be more jumpy and all over the place? What would you like? Is this the sort of thing you relax while you're doing a bit of work and it's in the background, or do you want something that's like intense 15 minutes of craziness? So yeah, get back to me with that. And from me, until next time when we probably hit Venus, probably quite hard, have a great one.